Here it is, February 12th, and history buffs recognize this date as the birthday of our 16th president. The name Abraham Lincoln likely conjures up images of log cabins, top hats, and of course honesty. But it should also bring up images of Idaho. More than any other state, Idaho is related to Abraham Lincoln. And if he wasn't dealing with enough at the time, Lincoln created the territory of Idaho back in 1863, smack dab in the middle of the Civil War. Well, then 2 years later, in April of 1865, history suggests Lincoln was considering Idaho issues in the White House. He even invited the former governor of the Idaho Territory, that'd be William Wallace, to see a play at Ford's Theater with him on April 15th. Wallace declined. Lincoln's death, though, meant he would never step foot in Idaho, but his legacy is littered around the state and in Boise. There's the sitting statue outside the Black History Museum in Julie Davis Park, a replica of one created in 1911 by Gutzen Borglum, the same Idaho-born sculptor who carved Mount Rushmore. That depiction, deep in thought, was dedicated in June of 2010. But there's another one, an older one, which has been standing sentry outside the State House since his birthday the year before. However, it's a facsimile of the former president, which actually goes back even further. On February 12, 1915, a Monday, on the same day the Liberty Bell stopped in Boise on its railroad tour of southern Idaho, there was a ceremony to unveil another metal marker of emancipation. An event that far outshone the reception of the Liberty Bell, according to the Idaho Statesman. The ladies of the Grand Army of the Republic dedicated a bronze statue of Lincoln to be placed on the grounds of the old soldiers' home in the City of Trees. The life-sized 6'4" statue stood atop a block of sandstone from the foothills, and it topped out at 12 feet. It was also the only such statue west of Lincoln, Nebraska, a claim which still stands today.
The oldest public monument in the western United States devoted to the memory of Lincoln.
Even though the statue has stood in a couple of places, until finally coming to rest in front of the Capitol in 2009.
Because people will have to ask, why is Lincoln standing in front of the Idaho Capitol? And the answer is, he created the place.
Well, back in 1915, the legislature kicked in $500 to help fund that statue, which would be the equivalent of about $15,000 today. Other things Lincoln did that impacted Idaho: 1862, he signed the Morrill Act, which funded public colleges focusing on agriculture and mechanical arts, and that would lead to the creation of the University of Idaho, the land-grant university up north in Moscow. That happened in 1889. But also in 1862, Lincoln signed the Homestead Act, which would bring more than 60,000 families to the Idaho Territory, many of them displaced Southern Democrats who fought for the Confederacy, which is why we have places like Atlanta, Dixie, Grayback Gulch, the Robert E. Lee Campground, and why we have now the structurally unsound Union Block building in downtown Boise.